G'day commers, welcome back to the bush. In this episode of Lockouts 4 Driving, we're going to find out what the fastest way is to deflate your tyres out on the tracks to get maximum traction, whether it's a rapid style deflator or maybe we can go a bit faster with this homebrew here. Let's get into it. But first up, let's have a look at the setup. Now you may well have noticed something a bit different about this tyre. It's actually got two valves. It's got one at the top here and one down the bottom here. So at the bottom, I've got the line running up to the top here so I can keep an eye on the pressures. And I've also got down the bottom here what's called a pressure transducer. Now that takes a 5-volt power supply that comes out of this little box here and goes into my Mushi meter. Mushi meter is basically a multimeter that can output the display onto my mobile phone, which I'll put up the screen later. It can also data log, so I can make graphs and bits and pieces like that, which is fantastic. Righto, now first up, we need a baseline. We need a reference point from where we start. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the valve out of here. I'm going to connect up my Mushi meter. I'm going to connect up this, run it from 50 PSI down to 0 PSI, completely open with no Schrader valve in the middle there, and we'll see how long it takes. Now before we get too much further into this, I want to show you about the pressure transducer's response curve. This is a 100 PSI model. Now we're going to feed it with 5 volts and the output is going to be anywhere between 0 and 5 volts. And that's going to correlate with a certain amount of pressure, in our case PSI. Now I've mapped this transducer from 0 right through to 105 PSI in 5 PSI increments. So I know this response curve is accurate. Let's have a look at it. Okay, so it's pretty much dead straight. That means it's a linear response. Beautiful. Now, let's say we got 50 PSI. We should be expecting about 2.3 or 2.4 volts. Now, every time you get a data point, you don't want to have a look on a graph. I mean, that'd take forever. So what we've done is we've derived a formula, and there's our formula there, which we can plug into Excel, and every time we get a voltage, it can automatically spit out the pounds per square inch of pressure. Beauty. All right, on with the video. Okay, so we're down to 50 PSI on the meter here. I've taken the valve out and we'll just let it rip. And that's it, we're completely deflated. So Schrader valve back in, we'll pump it up, but first let's check out the results. So, down from 50 PSI to 0 PSI in that tyre. The control did it in 2 minutes and 13 seconds. That's the time to beat. So I'm sure you're all familiar with how the ARB Rapid works, but we just screw it on. Pull the valve out. Not there yet. There we go. Let it run. Okay, so we're completely empty. I don't know about you, but that seemed a little bit slow to me. Let's check the data. Now for the ARB Rapid. Let's see if it lives up to its name. Well, it took a scratch over 3 minutes. 3 minutes and 8 seconds. And not so rapid. And for now, what I'm calling the Deflator. So it's an AirTech, air chuck air. It's push on collet here. It gets the Schrader valve out the road. A little T-piece with a bit off here that runs into a valve that's from Repco, I believe. Found it on special and I thought, oh yeah, that'll do. And just a ball valve at the top here. So let's hook it up. Let's get that data logger fired up and let's see how it performs. Okay, data logger's running. Let's let it rip, 50 PSI. And we're done. That seemed pretty fast to me, but let's check out the results. Now for the final comparison. First up, the Deflator. It deflated from 50 PSI down to 0 PSI in that tyre in 2 minutes and 24 seconds. Not too shabby. The ARB Rapid up next. Did it live up to its name? Well, not in this case. 3 minutes and 8 seconds. But what about the control? Well, the control was 2 minutes and 13. So sure, the Deflator was behind the control, but not nearly as far as the ARB Not So Rapid. In fact, there was an 80% decrease in time when you compare the Deflator with the ARB Rapid over the control, and that's not too shabby in anyone's book. And there you have it. The king is dead. Long live the king. Guys, now if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you didn't, by all means, give it a thumbs down. Not once, not thrice, but twice. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in the next one. So if you've enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring that bell icon. It's really important to us and you won't miss out on our future content. Now, if you want to support the channel, by all means, consider becoming a patron on Patreon and you get things like early access to our videos on YouTube. Either way, we hope to see you out on the tracks.